Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 13, text 2 and 3. Vidura Uvacha Kete Pratyetaso Nama Kashyapatyani Suvrata Kashyanvavaye Prakyataha Kutrava Satramasata. Good translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O greatly advanced devotee, who were the Prachetas? To which family did they belong? Whose sons were they? And where did they perform the great sacrifices? Purport. The great sage, the great Narada singing in the previous chapter of the 3 verses in the sacrificial arena of Prachetas gave another impetus to Vidura to ask further questions. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Text 3. Manye Mahabhagavatam Naradam Deva Darshanam Yena Prokta Kriya Yogaha Paricharya Vidirarehi. Vidura continued, I know that the great sage Narada is the greatest of all devotees. He has compiled the Pancharatrika procedure of devotional service and has directly met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. There are 2 different ways of approaching the Supreme Lord. One is the Bhagavata Marga, or the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. The other is Pancharatrika Vidhi. Pancharatrika Vidhi is a method of temple worship. And the Bhagavata Vidhi is a system of 9 processes which begin with chanting and hearing. We begin with hearing and chanting. The Krishna consciousness movement, accepts both processes simultaneously and thus enable one to make steady progress on the path of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Pancharatrika procedure was first introduced by the great sage Narada as referred to here in Vidura. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we follow both the Bhagavata Vidhi or Marga and the Pancharatrika Vidhi. What is the difference between the 2? Both are devotional service offered to the Supreme Lord. One is in the form of deity worship, the Archa incarnation of the Lord. And the Bhagavata Vidhi is a process of chanting and hearing, followed by other 7 processes. But largely chanting and hearing is the Bhagavata process. So both these are 2 kinds of devotional service. Devotional service means that which pleases the Supreme Lord. So that which pleases the Supreme Lord, only Supreme Lord has to tell what pleases him. So when it comes to Pancharatrika Vidhi, for instance, the various kind of rituals that we do in our deity worship, they are not concocted by anybody, or they are not introduced by any acharyas on their own. Why this is called Pancharatrika? In 5 nights, to 5 different people, the Lord of Vaikuntha, Narayana, he gave the detailed procedures of deity worship by which he would be pleased. That's why it's called Pancharatrika Vidhi. One such personality was Narada Rishi. So we follow the Pancharatrika Vidhi, Narada Pancharatra. He gave this knowledge of deity worship to few other personalities. I think Garuda was given, Vishwaksena was given, and 2 others. In one night he explained to each one of them the entire process of deity worship. And that has come down in parampara. And that is what we are also following. Our 6 Goswamis, of them, Sanatana Goswami compiled the Haribhakti Vilasa, adopting the Pancharatrika system of rituals, worship, etc. Prabhupada explains that when a person begins his devotional service, both the Pancharatrika processes and Bhagavata processes, Bhagavata Vidhi processes and Pancharatrika Vidhi processes, they support each other to quickly make the person come out of the bodily concept of life. Being in the bodily concept of life, or coming out of the bodily concept of life, is very essential. Because that is the first birth. We helplessly, as we are born, we think we are this body. And we have a default perception that I am this body. And it is through the process of Diksha, one gets a second birth where he comes to realize spirit, that he is spirit, he is not matter, he is not this body. This body appears like spirit, but I am the spirit within this body. To realize this is the beginning of spiritual life. Both hearing transcendental katha, hearing Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavad Gita, hearing the holy names, they're all powerful methods where all the Chitta Shakti of the Supreme Lord, the all knowledge energy, all Vijnana energy, Jnana Vijnana energy, that is contained in these Shabdas that we hear. Therefore, regularly hearing spiritualizes us. Now our consciousness is contaminated with material consciousness. And the foundation of material consciousness is misidentification with this body. So, this process of, through the process of Diksha, one moves out of the bodily concept to stand on the foundation of spirit, to enhance his quality of hearing. Just like we chant the holy names of the Lord. When you chant in the bodily concept of life, the effect is one. When we chant and hear, being detached from the bodily concept of self, to spirit concept of self, the indestructible, the eternal Brahman person, the quality of that hearing is much, much superior. Ultimately, the Lord has to be associated through one's real identification as spirit, not as body. Body is only an instrument. For a person who is realized he is spirit, body is only a yantra, a machine, to be engaged in devotional service of the Lord. And the one who engages this body in the devotional service of the Lord is the soul, is a spirit. So, as Prabhupada is explained here, this understanding has got great significance for properly understanding the dilemma of Guru issue in the Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada introduced in ISKCON the first initiation and then second initiation. The second initiation is largely initiating one into the Pancharatriki Marga. The first initiation, the holy name, Prabhupada says, is delivered to the disciple from disciplic succession formally. But at the same time it is said, normally the word Diksha, if you research into the Goswami's literature, the word Diksha is not used for Harinama. That is well established. Now our Acharya is Srila Prabhupada. He called this as Harinama Diksha. Even in Chaitanya Charitamrita says, for the holy name to be effective, you don't need a formal Diksha. You can faithfully hear from a pure devotee without any ceremony and have faith and start chanting Hare Krishna. It will begin its effect. And that is how we see that when someone comes into Krishna consciousness, in the beginning no Diksha is given. In the beginning, the effect of chanting Hare Krishna starts because he has heard from Prabhupada. And it starts and coming to some level of stability of Shraddha, of Namaseva, that 16 rounds, the minimum that I will do. That Prabhupada called it as Harinam Diksha. Normally Diksha is used in connection with Pancharatrika Vidhi. Srila Prabhupada, as the current link, the current Acharya, for various transcendental purposes, directly inspired by the Supreme Lord and the Parampara, set up this 2 initiation system. And Prabhupada has also said that first initiation itself is enough, holy name itself is enough to take you back to Godhead. But you all know how much it matters to our spiritual life, the combination of hearing, chanting, along with deity worship. So this is the transcendental ways of the Acharyas. Philosophy is one thing. Philosophy is one thing. Just by Bhagavad Gita you can go back to God. Just by chanting the holy name, perfecting chanting the holy name, you can go back to God. But at the same time, this deity worship, Pancharatrika Vidhi, it is not only about worship, it is about also different Vaishnava achar, one's lifestyle, a Brahmanical lifestyle, clean life, and worshipping the deity, incarnation of the Lord. Now, in our Krishna consciousness movement, this Pancharatrika Vidhi, somebody may say, am I following the Pancharatrika Vidhi when we are having Sankirtana before the deities? See, there it is a combination of both. Very powerful. You can have Sankirtana anywhere. But when you have Sankirtana in front of the deities, you are actually getting the benefit of both Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavata Vidhi. It is not that only those who are in the altar and doing the arati, they are doing the Pancharatrika Vidhi. Dancing and chanting in front of the deity is also temple worship. It's also temple worship. So we simply have to take advantage of both these processes. And Prabhupada has explained that we worship the deity, Radha and Krishna, Chandra. They are Radha and Krishna Chandra, but they are receiving your worship in the mood of Lakshmi Narayana because you have not crossed that stage. Radha and Krishna, if they have to manifest as Radha and Krishna for you, for the worshipper, he has to be in a different spontaneous awakened situation of love of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, the Supreme Lord, Radha and Krishna, Krishna is the Adi Narayana, Radharani is Adi Lakshmi. So they manifest their expectations as Lakshmi Narayana. Therefore, even though we are Radha Krishna worshippers, we have to deal with deity worship with great reverence, not in any saharjya way. Follow every instructions of Pancharatrika Vidhi. And moment we say reverence, it is Lakshmi Narayana. When intimate love is there, then it's Radha and Krishna. So we all know that as sadhakas, we are trying to purify ourselves, our hearts, by following the rules and regulations of deity worship. And then when you say, there are no rules and regulations for Bhagavata Vidhi, Nam Nama Kari Bauda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. For chanting and hearing, there is no rule, there is no everything. At the same time, you see here, the idea of rules are also brought in this. Chant 16 rounds. Haridas Thakur himself practiced not sleeping without completing his sadhya, what he has determined that he will do every day. Similarly, we are determined to chant our 16 rounds. So even in Shravanam Kirtanam, we have a regulation. For instance, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, every day we have a disciplined way of hearing. So the combination of these two processes is terrific. The progress that a person can make by taking advantage of the process of Pancharatrika Vidhi. In our case, Pancharatrika Vidhi means coming for all temple programs. That's Pancharatrika Vidhi. You don't have to personally be in the altar. Similarly, the Pujari is doing Arati. He is doing Pancharatrika Marga as well as when he is hearing the Kirtana, when hearing all the thing that's going on in the temple hall while doing Arati. He is also following the Bhagavata process. And both these processes, initially the holy name is acting upon us for self-purification. This self-purification is called Purascharya. Purifying our chittam of all anarthas. That is the Purascharya. The process of Purascharya, process of purification, process of Purascharya. So initially the holy name also is acting as for Purascharya. Pancharatrika Vidhi is also acting as Purascharya to take us out of the bodily concept of life. And with the help of both, when we go out of the bodily concept of life, we situate ourselves in a purer platform of Brahman to more effectively hear the holy name. Advanced stages of japa, holy name, can easily be achieved, can be achieved easier if one supports his life, his devotion life, with temple worship. Whether it is at home or temple, doesn't matter. Temple worship, deity worship. One process will help the other to accelerate in the other process. And the other process will help here to accelerate. And of course, at one stage, because Pancharatrika Vidhi is not there in Goloka. Pancharatrika Vidhi is a purificatory process. Our ultimate process that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us is Krishna Prema through the Nama. So the Nama continues. At the Purashirya process stage also, that means before initiation also, Nama is affecting. After initiation also, Nama is affecting. After full purification also, Nama is effective at different levels to reveal and awaken our soul to Krishna consciousness. So this way we should understand the role of Pancharatrika temple worship, regulated worships. And then in our parampara, what is the ultimate revelation of Krishna Prema through Prema Nama. That Nama, when you are able to worship that Nama, Prema Nama, just like Prabhupada explains, that the seed of bhakti is Bhakti Lata Bija. That Bija you have to water through Shravanam and Kirtanam. And then it becomes a devotional creeper. And what is this Bija? What is the seed that the spiritual master says he is planting in the heart of the disciple? That seed is nothing but the faith of the disciple to strictly follow the instructions of the spiritual master with respect to chanting, with respect to following regulative principles. Somebody who does not have this determination, simply he takes on Diksha, it doesn't get anything planted in his heart. Therefore, Prabhupada says, when somebody wrote to Prabhupada, I want initiation, Prabhupada said, your determination is initiation. Rest is a formality. You should understand all these things. Doesn't go by external gross things if you get initiated and you get initiated. That is why we want to, before one sits for a ritual of getting initiated, even Harinama, we ensure that the person has a determination to serve the holy name 16 rounds every day. Does he have the determination to follow 4 regulative principles? So only after that stage, and then I will follow rest of my life. That commitment, that vow he takes at the time of initiation is a bija. And who has given those instructions? Who has given that bija? Prabhupada. Because it is Prabhupada's instruction. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Who has given this? Prabhupada. So who has given the Bhakti Lata bija? That one. That bija, we should daily water it. And then this is actually the understanding of of how we get second birth and we transform our consciousness into Krishna consciousness. Not awaken, awaken our Krishna consciousness. So one should know this. Several other places also Prabhupada talks about Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavata Vidhi. And we should take advantage. The Prabhupada's temple program is designed in such a way that one will automatically get benefited from both these things. So sometimes devotees think that second initiation is more important than first initiation. First initiation is more important than second initiation. In different occasions, Prabhupada has told in different context, yes, this is important, that is important. But they should understand the Siddhanta behind this first initiation and second initiation. Just because it is said that unless you purify to some level, second initiation will not be given. So therefore, second initiation is higher initiation than first initiation is not. That conclusion should not come. Each has its own function. There you are directly dealing with deity worship, therefore some level of purification is required to begin. Whereas in chanting the holy name of the Lord is very liberal, Nama Avatara, that pre-qualification also is not required. Therefore this is first initiation, that is second initiation. Both complement each other in the beginning. But in terms of absolute, it is a holy name. Means all the way up to Goloka Vrinda. When we worship the deities in the mood of the Radha and Krishna receives our regulated worship, it doesn't remain there. If your Krishna consciousness is awakened, then this Pancharatrika Vidhi, this method of worship will not be applying to that person. Just like Rupa Goswami was carrying his deity in his bag. So where is Pancharatrika Vidhi? Hanging from the tree. He is sleeping under the tree. What facility I have, I will give you. Get some dry chapati. Say, whatever I have, today I got this, I am offering to you. So that is another plane. Deity is there. All of them are deities. But that happens after you cross this stage. Or someone can stop at that, then he will reach Vaikuntha. Back to God and he'll go, Vaikuntha. Want to go to Goloka Vrindavana? Journey has to continue with total attachment to Nama Seva. Any questions? And time. And Prabhupada's, one should understand that Prabhupada has said that initiation is, the ceremony of initiation is like getting admission in a school. Admission formality. But the real education is you enter a college or a school for getting educated. So these two processes of, just because one got Harinam Diksha, just because one got Gayatri Diksha, it is like an admission. You are agreeing to go through that process of which will cleanse our soul. It's called initiation, starting. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So initially when in the first 2 or 3 years after joining temple, there is an opportunity of doing deity worship. And so there is a combination of Bhagavata and Pancharatriki Vidhi.
No, as I told, even
as
when
years pass, yes.
when you're even a new bhakta, he is engaged in Pancharatrika Vidhi.
Yeah.
Then he is coming for all the temple programs.
Yeah.
Both are there from day one.
So, but as years progress in Krishna consciousness, they get so many other services which has nothing to do with deity worship. And so what is Pancharatrika Vidhi for such devotees who have done many years in ashram? And some of them even drop doing the Gayatri because there is no pressure of deity worship or anything like that.
No, yes, that is you have to temple coming for temple program. That's why don't limit Pancharatrika Vidhi to what is happening in the altar only or puja. Our Acharya Srila Prabhupada has given us a synthesized one. So we are following the Pancharatrika. Even a new bhakta is following. Even after many years, let's say that devotee is having after many years of being in Krishna consciousness movement, he is not going into altar any time. He is not doing directly deity worship. No, he is coming from programs. It is deity worship. So he is doing Pancharatrika. He is participating in Pancharatrika. He is getting all the benefits of the Pancharatrika. He gets attached to deities. In the Bhagavata Vidhi, you get attached to Nama. You get attached to transcendental intelligence. But in Pancharatrika Vidhi, you get personally attached to the deities. So all this happens. Just because you don't go to the altar, doesn't mean that you don't get attached to the deities. It happens. One may be following the Pancharatrika Vidhi, deity, one's attachment to deity may be more. Even if he has not got into altar very often to do the rituals. Any other question? Last question, right? Leave now.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, just like Prabhu said, after a few years, suppose somebody, we are staying in ashram community, gets some service where he does not get deity service. So, but he feels that, so is it okay that in ashram he can separately have his own deity and do some puja or something like that?
This is an organizational problem, not a philosophical question. Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.